Barakatah Yahweh, Bahashem Yahushai, Bahashem Ruach Kodash. Welcome to a new live lesson. This one's called Newspeak, the Serpent's Tongue. And pretty much this lesson is inspired by a video that Elder Bishop Manatazak sent me based off of the term doublespeak. And there was this individual, I'm not sure of his name right now. I didn't really focus on his name, but pretty much, he wrote a book called Doublespeak, and I'm trying to see if I could find it so I could pull it up. I didn't get a chance to put it in the description box, but if you copy the title, you should be able to find it. And for some reason it's not coming up on my feed here. I know I was watching it earlier. Nevertheless, just give me a second.
To win in March, you gotta believe. But it's also known to stop believing. Just let go. Because with fan can when he chooses.
Okay. Let's see if it comes up now. Okay, I did have it. Okay. This is it right here. It says, when language is used to deceive you, how doublespeak distorts reality and corrupts thought. And this goes back to 1989. And matter of fact, what I'll do is I'll paste this on the comment board, live comment board, so you brothers that would like to check it out could check it out. And pretty much, he's going into the corruption of language and pretty much how Esau uses speech today, but he doesn't use plain speech, which we're going to get into that too, Lord's will. He uses something called doublespeak or newspeak, which pretty much, when you deal with the term doublespeak, is defined as words which have double meanings to make negative look positive. And a lot of times what they use is they use something called euphemisms, which are good words or phrases to make the actual thing that they're speaking about seem more, as they say, palatable, more acceptable. Put a pretty gift wrap it with something pretty, so that the person can accept it more. It says language that can be understood in more than one way and that is used to trick or deceive people. This is from Merriam-Webster's Dictionary, 1828. And I have a clip that I want to show, which goes into Newspeak, but we didn't get to that point yet. So Lord's will, we can get into it. But when you go to older dictionaries, whether they're, language dictionaries or law dictionaries, those dictionaries are usually a lot larger, a lot thicker, a lot more thorough. And after a while, what happens is they dilute the language, just like they dilute everything else in the money system and everything, to pretty much what they call dumb people down, to keep people in a stupefied, position. And this is the job of the devil, because one of his greatest gifts outside of the sword is deception. And this is how he's been able to manipulate the minds of the people, through the use of language that is distorted, and make it seem like he's doing one thing, but he's actually doing something totally different. Matter of fact, let's get real quick. Job 13:4 says, but ye are forgers of lies, ye are all physicians of no value. And when you look up this word forgers, the word is tapal, which means to smear, plaster over, stick, glue. It says to stick on as a patch. So here it is, you have truth, and then on the truth you have a patch covering the truth, which with something that is a lie, and that lie, darkens, should I say, the truth. All right. Down here it says besmear. All right. He besmirchified my character. Inside joke. Besmear, smear or cover with a greasy or sticky substance. Right. And that's the truth being glossed over with lies. Much like in there's a term, when you copy and paste stuff, or when you have pictures and then you put other things over that picture to cover the picture up. There's a term for it right now, but I can't think of it. If it comes back, then I'll go into it. But the word forges, is to forge. When you forge something, you create it, and pretty much the creation is to lie on it. Forge. Let me go back. Forge meaning. Just had it. Forge. Make or shape a metal object by heating it in a fire or furnace and beating or hammering it. Create a relationship or new condition. And it also is, to cover something, to create something to cover. So they create lies, because they're forgers of lies. So they create these lies to cover up the truth. Now, this is example of doublespeak or newspeak. War is peace. Freedom is slavery. Ignorance is strength. And all of these are not true, because war is not peace. War is chaos. Freedom is not slavery. Freedom is to be free. Ignorance is not strength. Ignorance is weakness. Because when you're ignorant to something, you're not able to, muster up the mental energy to fight against it. So it really robs you of spiritual strength. All right. So now we deal with the term doublespeak in Wikipedia. Doublespeak is language that deliberately obscures, which means to darken, disguises, distorts, or reverses the meaning of words. Doublespeak may take the form of euphemisms, which we spoke about euphemisms, which is, good words. Another term is PC, or politically correct. Things or words that you could say not to sound offensive, to push upon an agenda or a thought, without offending people, to make it easier for them to swallow it down. Example given, downsizing for layoffs. So as you're getting fired, you're getting laid off, but they say downsizing, which is a politically correct way of letting you down easy. And servicing the target for bombing, so instead of saying bombing, they say, servicing the target, in which case it is primarily meant to make the truth sound more palatable. It may also refer to intentional ambiguity in language or to actual inversions of meaning. In such cases, doublespeak disguises the nature of the truth. And this right here, it may also refer to intentional ambiguity in language or to actual inversions of meaning. And this is why in law, they actually do that. In certain laws that they're passing, they make the language ambiguous, so you're not really sure what they're saying. They make it very distorted, very vague, so that the person reading it has no idea of what it's really saying. That's why you need lawyers and law books, to give you the definitions of these things. And even then you're still lost. Isaiah 10:1. Woe to them that decree unrighteous decrees and that write grievousness which they have prescribed. Right. And these grievousness which they have prescribed are written in a language that seems like it's beneficial to the ones that they're presenting it to, but in actuality it's not. It's nothing more than doublespeak. And when we go back to the book of Revelation 13 and 11, it says, and I beheld another beast coming up out of the earth, and he had two horns like a lamb, because this is what they present themselves as, being a lamb, being, a so-called benevolent person, someone that has your best interests at heart. But really, they're nothing more than, looking for or how to entrap you, destroy you. It says, and he spake as a dragon. All right, so he spake as a dragon. This is dealing with their legislation. Because once they put the legislation on the books, they'll speak nice to you, but then eventually the horns will come out. And the word dragon goes back to the word Draco, which was an Athenian lawgiver who was known for his extreme measures of the law, the law being put on somebody for even the minutest offense, and they just pretty much throw the book at you, as they say, So they spake as a dragon, so this legislation they're passing and the words that they're saying, by these different politicians is nothing more than lies disguised, with honey on it, so to speak. Matter of fact, since we said that, let's go to Psalms 55 and 20. Let's start at 19. The Most High shall hear and afflict them, even he that abideth of old, Selah, because they have no changes, therefore they fear not the Most High, right? Because these devils are living it up. They're doing all manner of wickedness. They're continually increasing in riches. There are no hardships, among them. They're not in trouble as other men, as the scriptures say. Therefore they just continuously do what they're doing because they have no fear of the Lord, because the Lord never checks them. See, one sure way to have fear of the Lord is when, whenever we do something wrong and the Lord checks us, that, puts us back in the right frame of mind, so to speak. But that doesn't happen to Esau and to these other nations, especially these Edomites. That's why they continuously do what they do. It says, he hath put forth his hands against such as be at peace with him. He hath broken his covenant. Yeah. So he'll tell you one thing, but he'll do something totally opposite. And the greatest example of that is all of the different contracts, that he made with Gad, and he broke every last one of them. That's why, Gad said that Esau speaks with a forked tongue. He says one thing, but he means something else. And this is a part of his gift. This is a part of his blessing, is deception, and they're very good at it because that was what was given to them. That serpent. That's why the name of the lesson is doublespeak, the serpent's tongue. All right. And it goes on to say the words of his mouth were smoother than butter. Yeah, because to the untrained mind, it sounds like something good. But then when you actually see the outcome of what they said, it's the total opposite of what the person expected. And by the time the person is aware of it, guess what? They're already ensnared and entrapped. And this is how the devil operates. It says, but war was in his heart. His words were softer than oil, yet were they drawn swords. You see? So this devil does not speak straightforward. He speaks with a forked tongue. He speaks with that double tongue, double speak. It says doublespeak is most closely associated with political language. The word is comparable to George Orwell's Newspeak and doublethink as used in the book 1984, though the term doublespeak does not appear there. Right, it's the idea and the thought. All right, now let's get to the word newspeak. Newspeak, deliberately ambiguous and contradictory language used to mislead and manipulate the public. And that's exactly what it is. You know, this term does not appear in older dictionaries. I forget what year this, came out or started to be put into the dictionary, but Newspeak is something like it is new. And what it is they're breaking down the language and the meaning of words. That's why every time you go to look into a dictionary, it's more and more watered down. The best dictionaries to use are older dictionaries, going back to the 1800s, early 1900s, But anything more modern, and revised, is just that they taking stuff out of it. I'm not sure what volume they're up to now, but you have something called a Black's Law Dictionary. I'm not sure if they're up to volume 9 or whatever, but you have the first edition, and then they kept revising it, watering it down, changing meanings, changing definitions, because that's what the devil does. Just like plantation Christianity today is not original teachings. They're not the original teachings of Yahweh Shai. It's a total watered down, manipulated religion that is used to exalt Esau, the basement of the earth, exalt them to a status of being, the people of the Most High, the most benevolent, the inventors and creators of all. And without them, there would be no civilization, because you people of color, you're beasts, you're, this, that, and the other. You're animals, and you need to be tamed. But this is because he controls the narrative. And this is why when they set up the Council on Foreign Relations back in 1921, the very first thing that they did was buy up all means of communication, whether it was newspaper, whether it was radio broadcasting, whether it was magazines, different avenues to push information and news out. They bought up all of that because they control it, and that's why they're able to give out, the news that they want to go out, and the news that they want to go out is beneficial to them, and it doesn't benefit the listening public. All right, but that's what the devil does. This is why he rolled up on Eve and did what he did. He told her some truth, but then he lied to her with that serpentine, type of flow that he got. So I'm going to play this clip. I hope they don't give me a strike. This is just for educational purposes, and this is on YouTube. It's less than a minute long. I'm hoping that they don't strike my channel for this, but, this is very important in the movie 1984. Hold on, let me turn it up some more. I'm just trying to see if they have a... They used to have a button where you could, speed it up. But that's all right, no big deal. Just bear with me 1 second.
Was the Newspeak committee working overtime? First big wastage and adjective. First big problem is timing the language to scientific advance. Yes. It's a beautiful thing, the destruction of words. You won't have seen the dictionary 10th edition yet, Smith? It's that thick. The 11th edition will be that thick.
So you see how thick one was, and then the next edition was a lot thinner.
That's where the revolution will be complete, when the language is perfect. The secret is to move from translation to direct thought to automatic response.
See, the secret is to move from translation to direct thought to automatic response. So in other words, when they repeat stuff on the news or whatever the case is, the idea is to repeat it so much that people just repeat it, without even thinking about looking it up. It's something that's fed to them, and they're taught how to think, and what to say. And it's just an automatic response. You know, this is why everything now through the smartphones, the phones are smart, but the people are stupid. Because back in the days before you had these smartphones, everybody had to remember, phone numbers. Now think about your phone, and think about how many numbers you actually really remember besides your own. And the answer is you don't really remember. Why? Because it's already stored in the phone for you. And all you have to do is push a button. You don't dial the numbers like we used to in the past. And therefore making the people stupid and dumber and reliant on the technology that Esau has, and dumbing the people down even more. So this is the whole thing. And this is what they've done with the truth. They've denigrated the truth. Matter of fact, let's get the book of Isaiah 25. Before we go there, let's get real quick Isaiah 60. And then let's get 2 Corinthians 4. So let's go back. Isaiah chapter 60, verse 1. Arise, shine, for thy light is come, and the glory of the Lord is risen upon thee. For behold, the darkness shall cover the earth. What is the darkness? The darkness is the ignorance that was purposely put upon people by the Edomites, the wild man, that pretty much hid the truth from the public eye and put his form of truth out there. And his version of the truth is nothing but a lie and a distortion of what it actually was. That's why the Apostle Paul said, I marvel that you are so soon removed from him that called you into this calling, in so many words. And because you follow behind another gospel. And then he goes on to say, which is not another, because it's the same book that's being used, but there's a different meaning that they're pushing on Jake today. Matter of fact, what's this? Let me just get another. I hope that I remember. There was a precept that just came to mind. Okay. Let's go here real quick. But before we go there, let's go back to Revelation 20. Let's go straight to the point. Verse 7. And when the 1,000 years are expired, Satan shall be loosed out of his prison, meaning out of that sentence that they had, that dark cloud that was covering them, because they weren't able to deceive the nations anymore for a certain period of time, which was that 1,000 years. It says, and once he's loosed out of this prison, the very first thing he's going to do is what? And shall go out to deceive the nations which are in the four quarters of the earth. And that's exactly what they did. So the version that the majority of the world has mentally is, white supremacist, plantation Christianity doctrine, philosophy. That's what the majority of the world has, because when they were let out of that prison sentence, the very first thing they did was went around the world and deceived the world. And what better way to deceive the world than by telling their story, saying that the Heavenly Father looks like them, that the Heavenly Father, Son, and the angels and the Israelites look like them, that's them, and from that point they can control everything else, So now let's go from there. Let's go to Colossians chapter 2, and let's start at 6. It says, as you have therefore received Yahushua the Lord, so walk ye in him. That's why wisdom and knowledge shall be the stability of thy times and strength of salvation. So it's important to continue in the things that we have learned, because there's going to come a time where distortion is going to come in. And when that distortion comes in, it's important that your mind be already established in the true doctrine. Therefore, you knowing how to combat, these fallacies that are being pushed, on the world. Damn, there was another precept that came to mind. I can't think of it right now. If it comes back up, we'll go to it. It says rooted and built up in him, right? Because there is a foundation that has to be built. And after that foundation is built, then you can start to build the house on top of that. But the foundation has to be sure. It has to be solid. It has to be secure. And that foundation is built up on Yahushai and the principles of the doctrine that he taught. It says established in the faith. See? So you have to be built, you have to be rooted and built up, have to have the right foundation. No other foundation can any man build than that which is built, which is Yahushai. And then established in the faith as you have been taught. And that's why it's important to know who you learn these things from and what you're learning. Because that's going to determine the stability, in these times to come. When all of this, these false, Barakateh Halbashim El Shai came back. Check that out. When these false teachings come out and these false breakdowns come out, your mind is already prepared because it's been structured and nourished and instructed in the right path to go. So 1 John 4:1, beloved, believe not every spirit, but try the spirits, whether they are of the Most High. Why? Because many false prophets are going out into the world. And we see that. That's why it says, Colossians 2:7, rooted and built up in him, and established in the faith, as you have been taught, abounding therein with thanksgiving. So that every time, the Lord gives us these blessings of this knowledge, wisdom, and understanding, Barakatah Yahweh Hashem El Shai for this truth. Right? It says, beware lest any man spoil you through philosophy and vain deceit, after the tradition of men, after the rudiments of the world, and not after Yahushai. And this is exactly what Esau is doing, and he's using Jake to do it also, led by the head serpent, the head vampire, Vocab Malone, and the minions of Jake that are with him, that are helping to try and tear down the tabernacles of David that are being built right now. Now, there's another one. Let me see. I believe that might be, Ephesians 4:14, that we henceforth be no more children, tossed to and fro, and carried about with every wind of doctrine, by the sleight of men and cunning craftiness, whereby they lie in wait to deceive. So let's look up some of these words. Carried about with perifero, to carry around, to bear about everywhere with one. Now there was a movie, Peter and Paul, I believe it was. I forgot the actor's name. He played in Silence of the Lambs. I can't think of his name right now, but he played the Apostle Paul, and he was cursing out the one that played Apostle Peter, and he pretty much said, "You're just a straw in the wind, a straw in the wind." Either he was cursing out Peter or he was cursing out Barnabas. I forgot which one it was. You're just a straw in the wind. So if you take a straw and you put it in a windstorm, what's going to happen? That straw is going to fly everywhere. So these doctrines, these philosophies, the strange woman, is their winds that come through, and whatever is not rooted in and built upon the foundation of Yahushai is going to be swept out like that straw in the wind. So the Apostle Paul is saying, don't be children tossed to and fro and carried about with every wind of doctrine. One day you're, with one group, the next day you're with another group, the next week you're with the Black conscious community, the week after that, you're a Jehovah's Witness, the week after that you're a Buddhist. You have to be established. It says by the sleight of men. So let's look up the word sleight. Like you have a term called sleight of hand. The word is kubia, dice playing. Metaphorically, the deception of men, because dice players sometimes cheated and defrauded their fellow players. Right, so they're using the same book, but they're not following the right instructions. You know, Anthony Hopkins, the water, bro. The water, yep, Anthony Hopkins, that's him. You know, they're not using, the right instructions. They're using deception. And this is what Esau is doing with his new speak, with his double speak, double think. So, where's the other precept? I had a couple of precepts that I had pulled up. Okay, I must have. Oh, here we go. So it says, Isaiah 16:2, for behold, the darkness shall cover the earth, and gross darkness the people. But the Lord shall arise upon thee, and his glory shall be seen upon thee. So there's an ignorance that's being pushed around the world by what? By Esau, which is the god of this world. Let's go to 2 Corinthians 4:3. But if our gospel be hid, it is hid to them that are lost, in whom the god of this world hath blinded the minds of them which believe not. Right, because they believe his madness. Why? Because they're not part of the elect. And when we go to Revelation 13 and 3, and I saw one of his heads as it was wounded to death, which was the Roman Empire when they fell to Jake, and his deadly wound was healed during the time of the Renaissance period. And all the world wondered after the beast. Why did they wonder after the beast? Because the beast, the very first thing that they did was deceive the world. So those that are not a part of the elect wondered after the beast. Now you have some of the elect that were, well, pretty much in this time, all of the elect were deceived by this man at one point, until the glorious gospel of Yahushua shined upon the hearts of the men and women of the elect. So the word there is thaumazo, to wonder at, marvel, to be wondered at, to be had in admiration. And the reason why is because their words are so convincing that if it were possible, they would deceive the very elect. But that's the point. It's not possible to deceive the very elect. So they've wondered after the beast, because the beast was given the power of deception. That's why it says, in whom the God of this world hath blinded the minds of them which believe not, lest the light of the glorious gospel of Yahushua, who is the image of the Most High, should shine unto them. So if this light was to shine in the hearts of the blind, then that blindness will be turned into sight, and they'll be able to see and to avoid, this devil and his snares and his traps and the different pitfalls. Now let's go from there to Isaiah 25:7. It says, and he, the Most High, will destroy on this mountain, America, the face of the covering cast over all people. So there was an actual face of covering cast over all people. Just bear with me one second. Just bear with me. I'm looking for something real quick. Okay, beautiful. Second Maccabees. Right, okay. Let me see something else. Okay. So just bear with me one second. Let's see if this color of law. In the United States, the term color of law denotes the mere semblance of legal right, the pretenses or appearance of right. Hence, an action done under color of law adjusts colors the law to the circumstances, yet said apparently legal action contravenes the law. Under color of law authority is a legal phrase used in North America indicating that a person is claiming or implying the acts he or she is committing are related to and legitimized by his or her role as an agent of the government power. So when you act under the color of law, it seems to be one thing, you know, but it's really something else. It's not what it appears to be, you know. And this is exactly what these devils are doing. They're under the color of law. They're trying to paint themselves as being benevolent people, telling the truth, but in actuality, they're not. And that's how the devil operates. Here you have the story of Heliodorus, you know, and the wickedness that he did, which I have to go back over the history. I haven't read this in a while, but the wickedness that he did, you know, you had Onias III, which was the high priest at the time, you know. And this is what he said. It says, so forthwith Heliodorus took his journey under a color of visiting the cities of Celesyria and Phoenice, but indeed to fulfill the king's purpose, right? Because his purpose was what? To go into, he was sent by Antiochus Epiphanes, sent there for the purpose of taking the treasures, you know, of Israel. And that's why the angels whooped his ass and sent him back home, you know, in stitches. So, but he came in what? Under the color of law, which was under a false pretense. And this is exactly what Esau is doing. So he's acting as if he's coming there for a different benefit, but he's really there to fulfill the king's purpose, which is what? To take the treasures from the temple in Jerusalem and bring them back into the hands of Antiochus Epiphanes. And this is what Esau is doing with all of this law and these different terms that they're pushing out there. All right. So we dealt with Newspeak. We dealt with this video here. Matter of fact.
Language coming from here. Excuse me for intruding. But what you're saying is that we should be rid of the last vestiges of Goldsteinism when the language has been cleared. I couldn't be more in agreement with you, brother. Absolutely.
All right, and that's pretty much what it is. Now, that's how Esau operates, under the color of law, under deception, right? But with the Most High, everything is cut and dry. What is the origin of the phrase cut and dried? How did the phrase cut and dry come to mean clearly decided or settled in advance? Sometimes referenced as cut and dried, also used when referring to something that is ordinary. If something is cut and dry, it is said to be completed without debate, question, or argument. And this is exactly how the words of the Most High are. You know, they're complete without debate, question, or argument. This is why in Hebrews 4:12, it says, for the word of the Most High is quick and powerful and sharper than any two-edged sword. So it's just cut and dry. You know, it's already established. There's nothing that could be added to it. Matter of fact, let's go to what is that? 2 Peter 1:19. It says, we have also a more sure word of prophecy, whereunto you do well that you take heed, as unto a light that shineth in a dark place, unto the day dawn and the day star arise in your heart. So we have also a more sure word of prophecy because it's already been established. It's cut and dry. For the word of the Most High is quick and powerful and sharper than any two-edged sword, piercing even to the dividing asunder of soul and spirit, and of the joints and marrow, and is a discerner of the thoughts and intents of the heart. So the words of the Most High are cut and dry. You can't add to it. That's why I said don't add to it or don't take away from it. It's perfect. Oh, damn. There was another precept that came to mind. Yep. Isaiah 55:11. It says, so shall my word be that goeth forth out of my mouth. It shall not return unto me void, but it shall accomplish that which I please, and it shall prosper in the thing whereto I sent it. So it's already established. Nothing else needs to be added to it. And it's what it is. It's plain language. I had looked up another term, clear language definition, something I had read, and it led me to plain language. Plain language is writing designed to ensure the reader understands as quickly, easily, and completely as possible. And that's how the words of Yahweh B'Shem Yahushai are, if you have the proper understanding. But with Esau, everything is ambiguous. There's nothing that's direct. And that's how you know a devil. You ask them questions, they never give you a straightforward answer. It's always about deception, always trying to go see how they can manipulate by the use of words, the person that's talking to them. And they never answer you directly. Before I read on here, let's go to 1 Corinthians 14:7. And even things without life-giving sound, whether pipe or harp, except they give a distinction in the sounds, how shall it be known what is piped or harped? Right. So whenever you're speaking, there has to be a distinction. And the word there is diastole, a distinction, difference of the different sounds musical instruments make. Right. And it's heavy how the Apostle Paul used instruments and trumpets, because when you go back, I believe there's Numbers, the 10th chapter, the Most High told Moses to make, I believe it said, make 2 horns of silver. You had the ram's horn, you had the trumpets of silver, and what they were used for was to call the congregation, right? But there were different uses, and depending on how it was blown, it could have been a warning. If it was blown with an alarm, that means get ready for war. If it was blown a certain other way, it was just for the elders to assemble. If it was blown another certain way, it was for the whole congregation to assemble. So there was a distinction in the sound of that particular trumpet or instrument in order for a person to know. So if there was no distinction made, no one would be able to understand what that meant. Why was that horn blown? What does it mean? And that's the same thing with this knowledge. It has to be taught so that the person, the Israelite that's listening, can benefit from it if they're part of the elect. Because even if you break it down, to where a baby could understand it and a person is not a part of the elect, they're not going to understand it anyway. It's, you're going to sound like a barbarian to them, or you're going to sound like thunder and lightning to them. They're not going to perceive the words of knowledge that you're speaking to them, because the understanding of this truth, the accepting it, the believing of it, and the keeping of it is assurance of salvation. This is why the Apostle Peter said, give diligence to make your calling and election sure. It says, for if the trumpet give an uncertain sound, who shall prepare himself to the battle? And we're sounding the trumpet, because Jake, has to get ready for what's coming. That's why we keep speaking about the MOTB, the Charagma. We keep speaking about Jacob's trouble. We keep speaking about the martial law and concentration camps and the things that are coming. The prophecies of war and all of these different things, because we have to keep giving the warning. And whether they hear, whether they forbear, it doesn't matter, because at the end of the day, they're going to be held responsible for what they learned and heard. Yahushua said that if he had not come, they would not have no cloak for their sins. But now they have no cloak. And the world knows. And this is why the Most High is making sure that all these different platforms are opened up so that this word can get out there. These different so-called Christians, these so-called celebrities, movie stars, sports entertainers and all that are speaking about the Hebrew Israelites, so that this word can get out in the different platforms, so that no one can be without excuse. So the Lord is using it to gather his elect, but he's also using it to condemn the rest. So there's no excuse. So it says, so likewise ye except you utter by the tongue words easy to be understood, how shall it be known what is spoken? For you shall speak into the air. You see? So pretty much this knowledge has to be broken down, so that the people listening can understand. But Esau doesn't do that. What Esau does, he does a total opposite. You know, he makes things hard so that you won't see and understand. The Haitians are not the Canaanites, so get the hell out of here, man. Clown. This dude's a clown talking about the Haitians are whatever the hell he said. No, they're from the tribe of Levi. Damn demon. All right, so now let's go from there. Let's go back to this definition of plain language. Plain language is writing designed to ensure the reader understands it as quickly, easily, and completely as possible. Plain language strives to be easy to read, understand, and use. It avoids verbose, right? And verbose is a wordy person, you know, and that's not good to be somebody that's too wordy. You know, you're using too many words to explain something. You know, like King Masha used to say, one word. You know, try to use the least amount of words to explain something, you know, and break it down to the least common denominator to where it would benefit the hearer, you know. And if they're not meant to get it, they're not going to get it anyway. So it says it avoids verbose, convoluted language, and jargon. In many countries, laws mandate that public agencies use plain language to increase access to programs and services. The United Nations Convention of Rights of Persons with Disabilities includes plain language in its definition of communication, but these devils never do that. That's what the Lord says, woe unto them that decree unrighteous decrees. You know, and they do this purposely because they know the average person doesn't understand law terminologies. They don't understand, you know, the concept of the economy and how the dollar works, you know, and why the prices of things seem that they keep going up and down. You know, they don't understand that because the language is very tainted, so to speak. This is just a beautiful precept right here. Yep, Occam's razor, like the brother said, Occam's razor, which is the simplest definition is usually the easiest definition is usually the best one. Something that's easy to be understood. Ecclesiasticus 32:8, let thy speech be short, right, not verbose, comprehending much in few words, be as one that knoweth and yet holdeth his tongue, right. You know, because there's a time to give a discourse, but there's a time when you want to just get straight to the point. You know, you want to cut that Occam's razor. Let me stop. But yeah, you know, so that's that on that. So pretty much these devils are coming with that distorted type of language. Why? Because they are the devil that the Bible speaks of. 2 Corinthians 11. I'm going to start at 3 and then I'm going to jump around. So 2 Corinthians 11 and 3. But I fear lest by any means as the serpent beguiled Eve through his subtlety. Why? Because the Lord made him more subtle than any beast of the field. You know, and they've accomplished a diligent search. You know, this is not something that they came up with yesterday. This is something that they've been pushing over and over and over again. You know, and this is something that they've been mastering from the beginning, from all these different other nations before them, using the tactics that work for them. It says, so your mind should be corrupted from the simplicity that is in Yahushai. Right, because this truth at the end of the day is very simple. Truth is simple. Man complicates truth by adding his bullshit to it instead of just letting it be in its pure form. It says, for if he that cometh preacheth another Yahushai whom ye have not preached, or should I say another Jesus whom we have not preached, or if you receive another spirit which you have not received, or another gospel which you have not accepted, you might well bear with him. Yeah, because when you read further down, the Apostle Paul says, you suffer fools gladly or something like that. You know? Because, you know, we have to just deal with it. Because you're going to have the left-hand side working. You know? Now when we jump down to the 12th verse, it says, but what I do, that what I will do, that I may cut off occasion from them which desire occasion, that wherein they glory, they may be found even as we. For such are false apostles, who? The ones that bring a different doctrine, another meaning, another gospel. Deceitful workers transforming themselves into the apostles of Yahushua. So they've changed themselves into. That's what Esau did. That's why in Revelation 13 also it speaks about that they have the names of blasphemy. They blaspheme the Most High, the angels, Yahushua, the Israelites, so on and so forth. It transformed themselves into the apostles of Yahushua, and no marvel for Satan himself is transformed into an angel of light. Right, because this is their greatest gift outside of the sword, is deception. Therefore, it is no great thing if his ministers also be transformed as the ministers of righteousness, whose end shall be according to their works. So the Lord already got them in a trick bag. Psalms 58:1. It says, do ye indeed speak righteousness, O congregation? Do ye judge uprightly, O ye sons of men? And the answer to that is no, they don't. That's why the whole world is in turmoil, and the earth is given into the hand of the wicked. So it's an easy thing for them, to make things right, but they're not going to do it because they are the wicked. Their wiring is set up to be wicked, to do the things that they do. You have to have an opposition. It says, yea, in heart ye work wickedness, you weigh the violence of your hands in the earth. And that's exactly what they do. They work it in their mind. They conceive it in their mind, and then when they're ready, they weigh the violence of their hands in the earth. Because they push it along among the people, and they destroy people by their demonic agendas. The wicked are estranged from the womb. They go astray as soon as they be born, speaking lies. So it's impossible for them to do the right thing. Can the leopard change his spots? Then may you do good that are accustomed to doing evil. You were bred this way. You were wired this way. Your spirit emanates from the left-hand side. You cannot do righteousness even if you wanted to. Because you were created to be the devil, and you were created to be destroyed. Their poison is like the poison of a serpent. Yeah, because when the serpent bites you, you don't just die right away. The venom gets into your bloodstream, and then it starts to coagulate your blood. And by the time you know it, your blood is so thick it's not pumping through your system, and before you know it, you're dead. And that's how their philosophies are. A little bit at a time, they start strangling the truth out of the person that has it. Not that they have power over the truth, but they have power to deceive. It says they are like the deaf adder that stoppeth their ears, and no matter how eloquent you may be and how beautifully you can break the scriptures down and bring out the true gospel, they're not going to listen because there's a mechanism in them that won't allow them to. It says, which will not hearken to the voice of charmers, charming never so wisely. And these are the prophets. Who can charm more wisely than the prophets? Through the spirit and power of Yahweh Bashem Yahushai? None. So if they're not going to listen to the prophets, what makes you think they're going to listen to anybody else? It says, break their teeth or their power, O Most High, in their mouth, right? Because their power is what? Besides the sword, deception. So break their power in their mouth, because they're nothing but a bunch of liars. They're forgers of lies. They invent lies. They change the meaning of things. That's what they do. Break out the great teeth of the young lions, O Lord. Let them melt away as waters which run continually. When he bendeth his bow to shoot his arrows, let them be cut in pieces. And that's exactly what's going to happen. Because their whole agenda of the New World Order is going to be destroyed once the Lord destroys this place. As a snail which melteth, let every one of them pass away, like the untimely birth of a woman, that they may not see the sun. And eventually, once they serve their captivity, they will be like dung that's flushed down the toilet. It says, before your pots can feel the thorns, he shall take them away as with a whirlwind, both living and in his wrath. Right, because they're planning on bringing in this so-called New World Order, which the only ones that will benefit from that are them. Anyone else, shit out of luck, especially Jake. So it says, before your pots can feel the thorns, before there's any harm that could come to the elect of the Lord, he shall take them away as with a whirlwind, both living and in his wrath. Psalms 127 and 6. Blessed be Yahweh Bashem Yahushai, who hath not given us as a prey to their teeth. Our soul, because what is to their agenda, because that is their power, deception to push forward their agenda. Our soul is escaped as a bird out of the snare of the fowler, right? Because here it is, you have a bird. The fowler is a bird catcher. The snare is a trap. You have a bird that actually went into the trap, right, and was caught in the trap. But the trap was what? And the snare is broken, and we are escaped. You see? So it's like being in the trap, but being delivered from the trap. Our help is in the name of Yahweh Bashem Yahushai, who made heaven and earth. So back in Psalms 58:10, the righteous shall rejoice when he seeth the vengeance. He shall wash his feet in the blood of the wicked. And who is the wicked? The Edomites. So eventually the Lord is going to give us, the ability and the power to exact vengeance on our enemies. That's why it says, wait ye upon the Lord. Vengeance belongeth unto him. But who is he going to use to exact that vengeance on Esau and the nations? Us, the Israelites. So that a man shall say, verily there is a reward for the righteous. Verily he is a power that judgeth in the earth. Right, because the Most High is righteous in everything that he does. So all this double speak and double think, new speak, all of these deceptions that these devils are bringing is going to all come to nothing, because they will be put down, So with that, I pray that you brothers and your few sisters have been edified. And to the next time I say, Shalom.